The Super Bowl is over, and that means it's officially the 2025 NFL offseason, but that's not a good thing for some guys, because you see, between the upcoming NFL draft and free agency period, there are a few players out there that could end up major fantasy losers. That's right, following along in the NFL offseason is an absolute must if you don't want to suck at fantasy football. Things change. It's inevitable. Players are going to retire. Players are going to be traded. They're going to sign with new teams. Hell, some guys may be just outright cut. But the last thing you want is to be a loser like some of those guys. So sit back, relax, and let's kick off the 2025 NFL offseason with 5 players that may end up fantasy losers in the 2025 NFL offseason. And we're going to kick it off with Zay Flowers, and expectations were high in 2024, and while he did improve on his rookie year, he didn't absolutely kill it. He had 1,100 total yards and 4 touchdowns, and he made the Pro Bowl. But Baltimore has to see that in order for them to make it to the Super Bowl, they need more firepower. Lamar Jackson just set career highs in completions, pass attempts, passing yards, and passing touchdowns, all while still running for almost 1,000 yards. So quarterback play is not the problem. Cincinnati may be losing T. Higgins. Pittsburgh has a ton of off-season questions themselves, and the Browns, yes, they suck yet again. This division and the championship window is still open for Baltimore. That brings us to Zay Flowers. He was the clear top wide receiver option in this offense once again. He led the team in targets, receptions, and yards. But who did he have to compete with? Rashad Bateman? Nelson Aguilar? The Baltimore depth chart at the wide receiver position is one of the worst overall in the NFL. But the team in Baltimore is solid. They just need some more pop on offense to pair with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the backfield. Now we have capable wide receiver free agents this offseason, guys like T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, and Amari Cooper. We have studs in the draft like T-Mac, Burden, Ibuka, and Golden. And what about guys like Deebo Samuel and Cooper Kupp, who could be traded very shortly here this offseason? The point is, there are options out there for Baltimore. And if they were to bring in another capable wide receiver, it's going to eat into the target share of Zay Flowers. The Ravens are outside the top 15 teams in the NFL when it comes to passing volume. And if Flowers loses targets, it could definitely turn him into a fantasy loser in 2025. Now, before I get into the next player, I gotta shout out today's sponsor, Turtle Beach. Now, we've been talking about Turtle Beach now for the last couple of months, but I feel like a lot of people out there really think this only has to do with just video games. And that's really not the case at all. Maybe you just want to freshen up the home office a little bit. They have something for you as well. And I can say that because I'm not a huge gamer myself, but I do love the wireless keyboards, the wireless mice. I even like those extra large mouse pads that you can get that gives you that nice soft feel underneath your hands. So even if you're not a big gamer like myself, there is definitely something for you at turtlebeach.com, and you know I'm gonna get you a discount for it. Head over to turtlebeach.com right now and use code HEADLINERS at checkout for 10% off your entire order. That's right, that's 10% off your entire order at turtlebeach.com with promo code HEADLINERS, links down in the description. But alright, now we go back to some losers. Next is Rico Dowdle. Dude could be a total 2025 loser. Can we just be honest here for a minute? Rico Dowdle is what I call a jag. He's just a guy. He doesn't possess anything special to keep a starting job no matter where he plays. Yes, last year, he became the starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys, and he had a couple good games, but then, all of a sudden, people started overvaluing him way too quickly. Well, now he's a free agent, and the market for running backs absolutely sucks in the NFL. Now, maybe you're saying, hey, he'll re-sign with Dallas. That means he'll keep his job, right? Well, everyone and their mother seems to think that Dallas is going to draft running back Ashton Jeanty in the upcoming NFL draft. If that's the case, Rico Dowdle doesn't have a job. And when you look around the rest of the NFL, there are not many teams out there that would sign him to a bell cow role. He's gonna go back to just being a role player. The ship has sailed, and for Rico truthers that thought he was actually something all year long and going to be something in the future, I am so sorry. I hate to tell you this, but Rico Dowdle is more than likely an off-season loser. Up next is Jaden Reed, and I'm sure some of you are head nodding by this point. The Jaden Reed Reed usage in 2024 is one of the weirdest I have ever seen. He ended on a crazy hot streak in 2023, one of the hottest wide receivers in the NFL. Then he starts off the 2024 season and has 524 yards and 3 touchdowns through the first 5 weeks of the season. Things are looking good, right? No, because after that, he proceeds to go out and have just 496 yards and 4 touchdowns in the last 12 games of the season. Over those last 12 games, he had 9 games where he didn't even get 5 targets. But Jordan Love is too good, and Christian Watson is always too injured, so Jayden Reed has to bounce back, right? Well, it's the first day of the NFL offseason, and there are already rumors of Davante Adams going back to Green Bay. There's also rumors out there that this is a potential destination for Cooper Kupp. Now, obviously, neither one of those guys are in their prime anymore, but they would definitely get enough targets to hurt the Reed bounce back. We've already had Josh Jacobs come out and say publicly that they need a true number 1 wide receiver in Green Bay. And with the division that they are in, if they want to have any chance whatsoever, they need to figure out the passing game because the Vikings and Lions are going to be tough to beat. So being that we saw Jayden Reed fade away towards the end of 2024, if they bring in another big name wide receiver in 2025, that fade may stay, which means Jayden Reed, once again, would be a fantasy loser. Which brings me to Terry McLaurin, and this one hurts my heart, because if you've watched this show for any length of time, y'all know I'm a Terry truther. I had him ranked highly last year when no one else wanted him. I love Jaden Daniels. We had him in the draft guide as a breakout player in his rookie year. We expected the Cliff Kingsbury offense to be able to put points up on the board, but just like Zay Flowers earlier, Terry McLaurin really benefited from minimal competition on the depth chart. Do you realize that he had almost the same amount of targets as the next 2 top wide receivers on the roster? Terry had 117 targets. The number 2 and 3 wide receivers in targets on this team were Zacchaeus and Noah Brown. They combined for 120. But now Zacchaeus, Noah Brown, and De'Ami Brown are all free agents. Overall, though, Washington is a solid team. They need a little bit more offensive firepower, and they will be fighting for that division for the next couple of years. If they can actually get a good wide receiver on the opposite side of Terry McLaurin, he could definitely take a fantasy hit. It's not like Terry is out there getting 150 plus targets a season. He can't afford to lose much more than what he got last year. Now, why am I saying that? It's because touchdowns saved him in 2024. It is really hard to go out there and count on Terry McLaurin getting 13 touchdowns every single year. Jayden Daniels is a certified stud. There are going to be players that want to go to Washington now for the first time in a long time. So if any stud wide receivers go to Washington, I would hate to say it, but Terry McLaurin, he'd probably lose a little bit. I can't call him a loser. I love Terry McLaurin, but definitely if they bring somebody else in, it's going to hurt the potential upside of Terry McLaurin. And then lastly, how about Travis Kelce? Is he going to be a loser again? Now, I don't think he wants to go out like they just did in the Super Bowl. Absolutely embarrassed. But can we not forget that he is coming off the worst year of his career since he became a starter? And we also saw the Chiefs scale back his usage during the season when they actually had healthy pass catchers. The only reason that Travis Kelce had a couple good games was because everyone else on the team was pretty much hurt. Well, now we enter the offseason, which means it's time for the Chiefs to reload once again. Rashee Rice will be back. Who knows if he's going to be suspended or not? We'll talk about that at the time. How about Xavier Worthy? He looks like the real deal, and he's going to get more work in 2025. You have to think they bring back Hollywood Brown, maybe even Juju. If the Chiefs enter the season with healthy wide receivers, it's going to be another long year for Travis Kelce. And even though the Chiefs just looked horrible, we are going to see players every single offseason sign and come to play with Patrick Mahomes. Now, I'm not one that likes to make comparisons to Tom Brady, but do you remember years back, every offseason it seems like no matter who signed in New England, they were going to get a fantasy bump just because of Tom Brady? it's similar territory with Patrick Mahomes. Now, Kelce's high-producing days are over, and he's really in line to be an off-season loser. Now, who do you look at as being a potential off-season loser here in 2025? I know the off-season just started, but this is when we really need to keep an eye on a few players. Follow them throughout the offseason so we know whether or not we should pay up on draft day or not. Now, if you enjoyed today's show, do me a favor by hitting the like button if you haven't already, and then consider subscribing to the channel. We're going to give you every piece of NFL information that you need to dominate in fantasy football. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hang out with Headliner Nation. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here for the day. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day, though, and then most importantly, do your part to make the world a better place.
I'm a headliner.